Wow. Um, Complete stunned. Just absolutely hard to believe the loss of Robin Williams. I'll say this without any hesitation at all as I look into the camera. One of the most talented people I've ever seen in my entire life. Robin Williams was that gifted, um, the king of improv comedy. He could take any topic you gave him and he'll make you laugh from that topic within a few seconds, and he could stay on that topic. Or he could be diverse and switch topics. Long before the show Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is strictly about, comedy that's spontaneous, that's spur of the moment. Robin Williams, by the way, who did make one episode appearance on Whose Line Is It Anyway, he was great on it, was the improv comedy king. Terrific comedian. This, by the way, comedic-wise, he's right up there with the best comedians of all time, like the George Carlins and the Richard Pryors of the world. He's that good. Um, But of course, Robin Williams, we will remember him. If you're from my generation, growing up in the late 70s, the early 80s, as kids, might remember him from Mork and Mindy. But, a lot of people think, that's the show that actually we were introduced to him from was Happy Days, in which he only made one appearance on Happy Days. He was on there for one episode. And of course, after that, the rest is history. Mork and Mindy would be his big break, in which season number 1 of the show, him and Pam Dauber made a good team. They plays this alien from the planet Orc, in which we're introduced to, Nanu and Shazbot and stuff like that. He was Mr. Energetic on the show. He was just so good, and the show lasted 4 years. But really, if you want to get real picky, who I think gave him his big break on TV was Richard Pryor. The Richard Pryor show was on NBC in 1977 for just a few episodes. Robin Williams was on that show. So one thing kind of led to the other, and then the next year, that's when Robin Williams got a big break on Happy Days, and then that would lead to Mork and Mindy. Which, by the way, the first year, ratings-wise, Mork and Mindy was right up there with Dallas and 60 Minutes and Charlie's Angels, as well as Three's Company and All in the Family, as far as the top-rated shows on TV. It was that good early on. But to me, I'll remember him in movies. First 2 movies I ever watched him in was Popeye in 1980. The critics bashed it, but it ended up making a lot of money. And I actually liked Popeye. I thought it was pretty funny, which he plays the Sailor Man. Shelley Duvall was Olive Oil. Never thought she was pretty, by the way. 1982 or 83 was The World According to Garp. Still my favorite Robin Williams movie, because that was the first time that we saw Robin Williams handle a non-comedic role. It was a dramatic role, and it was a very diverse role. He's in the movie along with Glenn Close and John Lithgow. Fantastic movie. It's a little lengthy, but it's well worth your time if you get a chance to check it out. I'm sure Netflix has it or some other movie source that you can get it from. Late 80s, of course, Good Morning Vietnam. He won the Golden Globe for it, got nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor, plays DJ Adrian Kromauer, and he was just fantastic in that movie. Fantastic. His other movie achievements, and I'm going to leave some out, okay? He was just in that many movies. That Poet Society, early 90s, of course, Mrs. Doubtfire, my favorite comedic movie of his, in which he plays both a father trying to find a steady job, he does, and also trying to create a environment suitable enough for his 3 kids to live in when they see him. And he doesn't get to spend enough time with him, so in order to get more time with him, he's got to be a nanny. And that's where he poses as an elderly woman named Mrs. Doubtfire, so he handles both roles well in the movie. In the late 90s, won an Oscar. Best Supporting Actor for Good Will Hunting. And of course, he's had other roles too. Jumanji, of course. He was the voice of the genie in the Disney movie Aladdin. Most recently, the Night at the Museum movies. By the way, the last one, which by the way had nothing to do with Williams' sudden passing. It was going to be the final movie in the series anyway. The final Night at the Museum movies with Ben Stiller. That's due to be released in a few months. In fact, Williams, I think, is going to be in as many as 3 projects, maybe 4, in which he made appearances that still have not been seen by the general public. And those movies will be out in the next 12 months, if not sooner. As a comedian, as we mentioned earlier, he was fantastic. Okay, a lot of people may not know this, but Robin Williams was actually a big sports fan. He was. He was seen at various sports events, professional sports events in the crowd at basketball games throughout the years. But also, too, was the fact that he was at Wrigley Field during the seventh inning stretch of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, singing that with that Billy Crystal during a Cubs game. I'm a huge Cubs fan, have been for 30 years. Please don't make fun of me now. You can tell jokes about my Cubs later. But the seventh inning stretch, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, him and Crystal sang it. In fact, WGN TV, who broadcasted pretty much all the Cubs games back then, allowed Crystal and Williams to do a little play-by-play and color commentary of that same Cubs game. And a funny moment happened. During the game, as they're in the press box at Wrigley Field, there's no window in front of the press box. So it's right there in the open. If you wanted to stick a fishnet or a glove out there and lean forward, you could actually do that with no restrictions. Problem, of course, is that foul balls, if they're hit toward that direction, could hit you. And one almost did. In fact, it hit the top of the press box, and Williams says something along the profanity lines, and I'm not sure if it got bleeped out, delayed, and it may not have even got delayed, because I don't even know if there was a 10-second delay back in the late 80s, early 90s when that game was aired. And the way he said it, and because basically he just yelled it, bolted it, and I couldn't quite make it completely out, but it was like, it had, I'll put it this way, the first word was J, okay? And I just remember the people in the WGN broadcast booth, who were standing right behind them, the production staff, the on-air personalities, or both, were laughing uncontrollably. It was just so funny. It's one of those things where you either had to be there or you had to be watching the broadcast, and it was just classic stuff. And Williams was not hesitant at all when it came to implementing comedy into his act from the world of sports. For example, if you get a chance, maybe YouTube it. I haven't done it yet, but I remember watching him on stage give his rendition of how golf was invented. The Scottish people will disagree with it, by the way, but it's funny. It's so funny. It's not just ha-ha funny. It's roll off the couch or off your bed funny. It's that good. I don't think it lasts longer than 8 minutes. I don't think it even goes that long. But his rendition of how the game of golf was invented is timeless, okay? Has anybody, by the way, ever seen 1 Hour Photo? I guess that proved that he can handle a creepy role as well, because his character, I wouldn't call him scary, I'd call it creepy, okay? Psycho, that movie came out in 2002. The critics, by the way, loved the movie, for what that's worth, but I have seen it once, and once is all I'm going to see it. Not a terrible movie, but definitely a role that you would not think that Williams would play, but again, he can handle that kind of a role as well, kind of a abnormal, creepy type of figure in that movie. Robin Williams also, aside from what he did on screen, on stage, on the tube, also was very involved in charities, most notably Comic Relief, when Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, the three of them teamed up. It was a telethon event that was run for several times, in which they got other comedians involved and basically requesting donations. All the money went toward the homeless, and that was a success as well. And Williams, by the way, was known as either a fundraiser type figure or a spokesperson for St. Jude's Children's Hospital as well. This show has really been about how Robin Williams has impacted, myself and maybe you in terms of laughter. Okay, I'm not going to spend time talking about his how he died, which they're saying apparent suicide. I'm sure other YouTube shows are doing that, but talking about Williams in terms of how he impacted myself in terms of laughter. People are going to say, well, how could he have impacted you at all? Because you never met the guy. You probably never tweeted him. Probably never had any conversation. That part's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. People can influence you, and you can still feel emotionally compromised to a certain degree, or maybe to a great degree, for their passing, even if you never met them. And it's because they influence you in some way, shape, or form. They're identifiable figures of your life, even from an early childhood, which Robin Williams was, all the way to his death for many years. They might have impacted your life in terms of inspiring you to who you are now. They might have made an impact in your life in terms of how you view the world. They might have impacted your life in terms of how you view television, how you view the media, how you view comedy. Or in my case, he impacted my life just because, after I watched him perform, I felt better for the most part when he did the comedic stuff. Even the World According to Garp, where he wasn't, a comedic figure, he delivered a strong enough performance to where I was even more impressed because he was diverse in the movie. Anytime you have somebody influence your life in a way to where they bring greatness in some way, shape, or form to you, even if you never met them before, that still makes an impact. And that's how I'll answer that. And I'll close out with this. Greatness is something or somebody that reminds you of nothing or nobody else. And Robin Williams is in that category. No question he is. And he's going to be missed, dead at 63. Still hard to believe, and there will never be another one like him. Thank you.